Hi there. So I've been hearing about this natural gate module for a couple years, and I've frankly got kind of sick of hearing about it. So when the opportunity arose, I went ahead and grabbed one, finally. And I put together this patch to try to better understand it, especially relative to low-pass gates that I already use, and figured I would make a little video of that because it seemed to kind of be interesting. So I'm not going to go through the features of the natural gate. Other people have already done that. I'm just going to focus on the sort of comparison. And part of the reason is that I'm doing the video is just to kind of show that if you're considering buying the natural gate, you should have your expectations in line. Let's listen to these guys next to each other. So the three gates we got here, the one you're actually listening to right now is the Takab dual LPG, which is a $35 completely passive Vactral based LPG from Thailand, I think. The exact same sound source is coming into all three of these. At the moment, it's an E370 wavetable oscillator, which is under a little modulation, so we're getting some different sounds. You know what? Let's make this even more simple. I'm gonna pop this out, repatch a little on the fly here. There. Now we're just getting a plain old saw wave. You know what a saw wave sounds like, right? So I have a little sequence going. This is a carefully conceived sequence. It combines pings and a few ADSR envelopes. So as in the first 8 steps, we get a bunch of pings, including some ratchets, and then you'll hear the longer notes. Those are the ADSR ones. Those are in the second 8 steps of the sequence. And then the sequence itself is being transposed up and down by an octave at different times. So we can hear some different frequency ranges, basically. And we got lots of harmonic content to work with. So I have a switch that I can A, B, C through here. And as I mentioned, this is the Takab we're listening to. The Takab is very simple, no knobs, as you can see. We look at the one that doesn't have a bunch of cables in it. You got an input, a CV input, and then the output, and then there's a tone switch. And I'm in the top. There are really 2 settings for the tone switch. This one and this one. It's a slightly different level of filtering. Anyway, I wanted to include this module because it was so basic. I mean, as far as I can tell, it's practically a passive mixer that has a Vactral in place of the pot, and a very slight amount of filtering in some very rudimentary fashion. So I'm now going to switch this over to the Optomix, which is the de facto standard, I think, for low-pass gates in Eurorack. And I'll just do that right now. Okay, now we're listening to the Optomix. You can see here a total different character of those strikes. They're very delicate. This, by the way, is a Rev 1 Optomix. It's not the original Optomix, but it's the original version in this size. and style. I think what they sell now is a Rev 2, which has a bit different circuitry in it. The Optomix, of course, has this damping feature, which you can hear it's really killing a whole lot of the, particularly the lower end. I'm never been entirely sure what the damping feature exactly is doing technically, but I often will just stick a sample and hold in the jack to give it a little bit more variation. Right now it's just off. And by the way, everything we're listening to is totally dry, no reverb, no nothing else going on. It's a straight signal path through a switch and into the DAW. So I'll just jump back to the Takab before we move on to the Natural Gate. And the Optomix. Now the Natural Gate. So right off the bat, at least at these settings, it should be obvious that these modules, they're all a little different, but they're all playing in the same ballpark. I think one of the important takeaways is that if you, put your money into pre-ordering a Natural Gate and wait around for months, you shouldn't expect the module that shows up to just like sound wildly different than any low-pass gate you've ever heard. That's not to say that it doesn't have its distinctive aspects. Right now, I have set this Natural Gate to sound an awful lot like the Optomix, but we have more options on the Natural Gate than we do on these other low-pass gates. And it's mainly because the Natural Gate has no Vactrals in it. While the Optomix and the Takab here, they're totally, they're all about the Vactrals that are in these, and those are their fixed characteristics, and that's what these low-pass gates are about. Natural Gate has no Vactrals. Instead, it has envelope generators that create envelopes that happen to be kind of similar to Vactrals, but that's not really what they were imitating here. They were looking at more real-world type physical interactions and trying to mimic those a bit more. So we can choose between a few different sort of attack characteristics for the envelopes that this produces. This is the hard setting. We were on the soft setting. This is a middle one. Back on the soft setting, when you hit the pizzicato stuff, you can really hear it. Very sort of plucky. Back on the hard, the gate's opening more. But the thing that the Natural Gate has that these other guys really don't is the control of the decay. I mean, we haven't even touched it so far, but if I start messing with this, I can reduce it to almost nothing, especially if I go into the middle setting. Practically just clicks for when we're using the hit input. But gates unless you bring your own envelope along. So what I think Natural Gate offers more than these other low-pass gates is just control. You've got this highly variable decay setting, which you have CD control over, and you can run your, if you're using a sequencer that has a velocity setting, you can run that in here and get all kinds of expression. And it's all just set up, ready to go. So I'll switch back to the Optomix for a moment. The Optomix is not bad. It's an excellent low-pass gate. Pretty inexpensive too. It served me and many other people very well for years and years. Switching back to the Natural Gate. Is it better? That's up to you. You can definitely hear in those ratchet patterns that they get a little bit louder as they move on forward, you know, as they build up. That's that memory feature, and that's one of the signal features of the Natural Gate. The red trace, by the way, is our Natural Gate. The scope's not particularly revealing in this case. You pretty much have to use your ears. I'm going to switch back over to the wavetable for a moment. Get us into a different part of the wavetable bank. This, by the way, is the Optomix. The Optomix is our green trace. Now I'll switch back to the Natural Gate. I'm going to bring in a little CV control, because I can, to the decay here. And Let's see what we got here on the sequencer. So this is an attenuverter, so at the moment it's at 0, it's not doing much. I'm going to dial this down to pretty low. So yeah, really short decay. Now I'm going to turn this up. There's no visual indication really of what's going on, but the decay is now being modulated by the sequence. Right now those first few of the hits are set to have a really long decay. I'm going to bring those down to make them very short. And this time I will bring up some of the ratcheted stuff. There we go. So that's an example of the kind of control that Natural Gate gives you. We could go on like this for hours, switching up the wavetable a bit. Well, hopefully some of you found this interesting and useful. I think I'll wrap it up here.